Oh, south of Iowa. We lived
Yes, I just unmuted, so if you can hear, it's on.
This was much later.
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, how are you holding up today?
Okay. She lived a wonderful life.
Yes.
The last year or two, not so wonderful.
Yeah, 96 and a half.
Yeah,
That's quite amazing.
Pretty incredible.
And that she got to be with her beloved for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, no, really amazing life.
Such a beautiful day.
Oh, it's amazing. I said she has special powers.
Most definitely.
Yeah, because this is as nice as it's been for a
For
really
a long
time.
time. I was out here in 0 degrees not too long ago. Yeah.
Stand up.
Okay. All right, everyone. We're upon service time. If I can ask the immediate family to sit here. Anyone else who would like to have a seat here? Plenty of standing room, of course. And then if I could ask anyone who would like to act as a pallbearer to follow me to the coach. Yes, and please watch your step. It's very hard to see this here, but be careful. Yeah, Karen and Amy, please be welcome.
If you need any extra, I'm available.
Absolutely. What? You to be a pallbearer.
You want me to help Sarah?
What Joy said now. So the people who said they would be pallbearers, they'll go back, and then if that isn't enough, they're back to go from Golden Hill down by. Are there enough?
We might have enough hands up.
Are you okay, darling?
I'm okay. Need a hug? I need
Look at all these grandkids that get back.
They're gonna be together again. Well, that's true. That's true. Well, what you're really saying is you won't have to smell it. It won't be in your kitchen. Passover, we can take a pass. Is that so? Hey. Passover, the
Does she think she's her grandfather? That she doesn't like to cook a fish?
Yeah. No, I tried and I spoiled in the wrong direction. Because my gefilte fish got thrown out faster than the first gluten-free bread. Right?
Are you sure?
That's true.
Okay. Is that Sharon? Hi, Sharon.
I know.
We are. Good to see you. Okay, here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'll get on the other side. Let's get it. Oh, they're going out. Come here, Grace. You could sit next to me. Watch yourself, please. You're a good thing.
And then we'll hand this off.
our God.
Yeah.
Keep coming on either side and watch your footing.
She's a neat lady.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Not in time, though.
No, no.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Please find your places.
Yeah, I think we're closest to the pulpit. I thought you were going to come over here with one.
Those two seats are for you guys.
So it is very comforting to see you all here as we prepare for the service. I'd like to call upon Cantor Ariel Green, Cantor of the Hebrew Education Alliance, and she'll begin with an opening song.
נפשי שובר ירחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו גם כי אלך בגיא המוות לא ירא רע כי אתה עמדי שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי תשענת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה אך טוב החסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי כל ימי חיי ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
Cantor chanted Psalm 23, which reads, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Giving me repose in green pastures, leading me beside the still waters, restoring my soul, guiding me in straight paths, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my foes. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Kirachem av al banim michem Adonai al yire'av ki hu yada yitzrenu zakor ki afar nachnu. As a parent has compassion for his children, Adonai has compassion for those who show reverence. God knows how we are fashioned. God remembers that we are dust. The days of mortals are like grass. We flourish as the flowers of the field. The wind passes over them, and they are no more, and no one can recognize where they grew. God Adonai's compassion is everlasting. God's kindness to children's children, to all the reverent ones, endures age after age, unchanging. On behalf of my family and the congregation, I want to extend our condolences to you, to know that we are with you in this journey ahead, and in sharing your grief as a community that really enjoyed seeing Saul and Dorothea week after week at shul, fixtures at our services and at Kiddush. They were shul goers and they loved their clergy. I know that I know that Dorothea had a chance to hear Cantor Green at the High Holy Days and enjoyed hearing her voice. And we are here with you in the days and years ahead to walk this path with you too.
לכל זמן בעת לאכול חפץ תחת השמיים, עת ללדת בעת למות, עת לטעת בעת לעקור נטוע, עת להרוג בעת לרפוא, עת לפרוס בעת לבנות, עת לבכות בעת לצחוק, עת ספות בעת רכות, עת להשליך אבנים בעת כנוס אבנים, עת לכבות בעת לרחות לחבק, עת לבקש בעת לאבד, עת לשמור בעת להשליך, עת לרקוע בעת לקבור, עת להשעות בעת לדבר, עת לאהוב בעת לשנוא, עת נחמה בעת שלום. A season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for planting and a time for reaping, a time for keeping and a time for discarding, a time for loving and a time for hating, a time for embracing and a time for refraining, a time for slaying and a time for healing, a time for laughing and a time for weeping, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The proverb reads, "A woman of valor who can find? Her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and nothing shall he lack. She renders him good and not evil all the days of her life. She opens her hand to the needy. She is robed in strength and dignity, and cheerfully faces whatever may come. Her children come forward and bless her, her husband too, and praises her. Many women have done superbly, but you surpass them all." Dottie Flax was a woman of valor and more. She was deeply loved by her husband Saul for 75 years. She raised 3 loving children, Barbara, married to Richard, Arlen, and Marilyn. And she had grandchildren, Amy, Craig, Darren, Jennifer, and great-grandchildren, Sophia, Peyton, Benjamin, and Sydney. I have known the Flaxes since my interview weekend at the shul in 1994. They were very special people in our congregation community. They were part of a whole group of friends and supporters. Dorothea was in the sisterhood. She was the queen of the Kukarama. She had many friends. She had the respect and admiration of a whole generation of women. She was a matriarch, not just for the family, but for the community as well. Dorothea Dvor Perel Bashlo Befrida was born in Denver, 1924. She grew up on the West Side, the youngest of 5 children, Rose, Dave, Bertha, Esther, and her. She went to the schools that kids went to in those days on the West Side, Cheltenham, Lake, and North High School. She was a good student, very good with numbers, a skill that she used all of her life. Her family growing up was poor, not just a couple of miles from here. She worked from a young age to help out. Most of the Flax's neighbors were also poor, but the kids didn't know any better. It was a rich and beautiful communal structure. The children led good lives. No doors were ever locked. The kids went to dinner at the houses of the best cooks. Dorothea worked as a team to help out. She would take the bus to and from work, and in the evening, off the bus, she would be met by the family dog, who was sent by her mother to meet her, and that dog was purported to speak Yiddish. She and Saul met, fell in love, and married in 1944. They met in Denver at a DU fraternity party. They talked and danced, and that was that. They had a lifetime love affair. When Saul would come into a room with his commanding presence, he was always sure to introduce his bride, Dottie. Even when they came into the synagogue later in their lives, both sporting separate walkers, it was the same. They were deeply committed to each other. Their health did not slow them down. Certainly nothing was going to slow Dorothea down. For Dottie, her kids were her world. The activities and sports and school. Barbara had a strict teacher when she was young who demanded of the kids a paper every week. Dottie was there to edit and type them up each week. And as close as Dottie was to her kids, double and triple that for her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. Dottie passed down traditions to the kids. She baked with them 6-stranded challah. There were Shabbat dinners, and the holidays. She was never happier than when all her kids were at the dinner table. She was famous for her sidarim. Famous because once a reporter from the Denver Post attended her seder to write about it. That reporter enjoyed it so much, he came back the next year, not for a story, just for the joy of it. She and Saul were intimately involved in the life of the synagogue. Dorothea was a leader in sisterhood. The younger women learned from her. They respected her. She was the point person for the Kukarama for decades. The two Flaxes were regular at Shabbat morning services until their health no longer allowed them to come. But even with health challenges, they went out to dinner. They met with friends, family. Saul drove. Dorothea did not drive. She was as a young woman, her driving was something to be desired. Better to have Saul at the wheel. The Flaxes had a lot of friends. They created a chavarah to which they were devoted for years. She played pan and bridge. She was known for her bridge playing. She once went to Texas for a regional bridge tournament, and she did quite well. She arranged a kosher meat co-op, bringing in tons of kosher meat through the years. Each year, the meat would come in. She would store the shipment in her garage and arrange for all the orders and pickups. There is really so much to say about her life of 96 years. A eulogy, a Shiva Minyan, memories shared, not enough. Perhaps that is all we can do today, but the stories of her life will continue for years to come in the memories of this community and in the memory of a beautiful family. A woman of valor indeed. We ask God to bind up Dorothea Flax in the bonds of eternal life. We pray that she now rests in peace. Amen. So I'd like to call up members of the family in order, in this order: Arlen and Barbara, then grandchildren Darren and
Amy. I've been struggling to find the right words to share with you about Dorothea Boo Boo. My favorite phrase is Boo Boo. But there's so many words and stories that it's really hard to tie them together. So I'll try to keep it very brief. Of all the messages and condolences that we've all and myself have received in the past day, one in particular really stands out. And that is quite simply, she was something special, as the rabbi had said. she couldn't have been so special without one other special person, and that would be Saul. Together, they were incredibly special. And I feel eternally blessed and grateful and thankful for the longevity that they experienced, that we get to celebrate 75 years of their marriage together, but more importantly, 4 generations. It's just very rare and unique, and I feel quite blessed for that. I could go on, but I won't. So I'll just say thank you for being here, whether in person or virtually. It means more than I can express to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Really good.
Well, before I begin, I acknowledge the presence of all of you here. Rabbi Meyer, we'll see you here now. It provides so much comfort to all of our families. My heart's going over this. Mom had many names. I called her Mom. Dad called her Dot. Her relatives called her Auntie Dorothy. Her friends called her Dottie. And when the grandchildren came, she became Boo Boo. As she would say, that is spelled B-U-B-U. Dot was a loving wife. Evidence for us is in our growing up years, our happy home, as what the rabbi alluded to in his eulogy, and maybe most obvious at the time of Dad's death. We all admired the love and the devotion that he gave to her. Yes, she was a numbers person and therefore the bookkeeper for his business. The numbers characteristic was obvious in many aspects of her life. On a trip that Dick and I took with Dad and Mom and Ted and Kathleen many years ago to Aspen, the joy of watching her light up in this conversation as she would begin to calculate how long it was going to take her to prepare and stuff an enormous amount of kishka skins, maybe even a mile's worth of kishka skins. It left us rolling on the floor with laughter. Auntie Dorothy was a part of a tight, loving network of aunts, uncles, and cousins. Mom was the youngest of 5, and I attribute her position in the family, as the next sister older was 13 years older. I attribute that position to her very generous and her very unselfish characteristics, and then passing along the value of a strong sense of family. I know for all of us back and forth, I loved my aunts and uncles, I loved my cousins, I loved that part of growing up that Mom provided to us. Dottie was a friend to many, and for many years. Let's see what I wanted to say here. When she made her friends, she did this through tennis and bridge, even duplicate bridge. She formed an investment club and a havarah. She organized the cookorama and recruited volunteers to bake with her. Now that she's passed, many people have reached out to all of us, and they've called or written such beautiful messages, fondly remembering baking with her or being with her. She befriended people when they moved to Oakhurst, and then again when she moved to Mountain View Senior Living Centers. Her mom had a gentle but firm nature about her. She listened to others. She was patient and caring and smart, yet feisty and funny. hand group was like a sorority of girls, a friendship of, I don't know, 40 or 50 years. They were together and friendly that long. Many raunchy jokes at the table found their way back to our ears. And oh, the way she could tell those jokes. When Amy, the first grandchild, was born, then her name became Boo Boo. Boo Boo was loving and fun and generous with her time and her assistance. Boo Boo became her name not only to the grandchildren, but also her family. You heard Arlen call her Boo Boo also. To our friends and their children, and of course, to the great-grandchildren. Everyone wanted a Boo Boo in their families. She achieved what very few people might achieve, like a Madonna or an Oprah, because Boo Boo was a one-word name, a person that we all recognized and that we all knew and loved very much. Even in her later years, she baked, she made pickles, she actively tried to stay involved with her grandchildren and great-grandchildren's activities. Roll up all these beautiful, loving characteristics. And you know, Mom, thank you, Mom, for giving us the spirit of loving, teaching us about that, of strong Jewish values, of strong family values. Thank you, Mom, for providing a role model that exemplifies courage and dignity and respect, never giving in to the medical challenges that you faced, and leaving us a legacy so rich in good values, traditions, and love. In my book, you achieved something like a Jewish angel status, and maybe that's what a woman of valor is. I will love and remember you forever.
Well, over the casket now.
I think there's more speeches. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Mom. Thank you so much. So thank you all for coming today, whether online or in person. Honor and celebrate our Boo Boo. Boo Boo was a treasure. She was everyone's Boo Boo, as my mom was saying. All of my friends knew her as Boo Boo, would ask as such about her. It's no mistake that when we talked about my grandparents, we referred to them as Boo Boo and Papa. She was the lead. She ran the show. Papa knew it too. That's why when we had our pickle making parties, he called her the boss and him the quality control. Maybe that was part of his secret to making their 75-year love affair feel even stronger at the end, other than at the beginning. I want to share just a few thoughts about her today. First, Boo Boo was the matriarch of our family. Judaism flowed from her, and she gave me the spark and encouragement to grow in my Jewish foundation and learning. Later in life, when we would come to visit her at her apartment, I would offer to share a Devar Torah or something I had learned that week. She was so appreciative and eager to learn. I felt it was such a deep and personal way for us to connect. 2 generations and 52 years apart, yet there we were connecting one Jew to another. Boo Boo was the most supportive person. Both she and Papa made it to every event to support their family, even when later in life it became physically difficult to do so. They attended countless baseball games, taekwondo belt tests, dance recitals, gymnastics meets, swim meets, and more. You name it, they were there, and oftentimes in the front row, cheering the loudest and rooting the strongest for you to do your best. I am grateful for every minute we got to share with Boo Boo. While she may be gone from our presence, she will be forever in our hearts and minds. She passed along so many beautiful traditions, holiday celebrations, challah baking, pickle making, and more. And we'll get to keep her spirit alive as we perform each and every one. Boo Boo, we love you so much. We're sad to see you go, and we're comforted knowing that you're being reunited with Papa.
I'm definitely not the speaker in the house. Personal, and I hope that you get to glean something else from Boo Boo as well. Dear Boo Boo, thank you for choosing me to be your granddaughter. I am forever grateful for all of the time that we were able to spend together, for all of the memories I will forever cherish, and for all of the lessons that you taught me. You were the nicest and kindest person I have ever known. I always said, if I could be half as nice as you and half as kind as you were, I would be a good person. I hope that I've made you proud. I have so many amazing memories of our time together, from countless Shabbat dinners and subsequent sleepovers, to your taking me and Darren to our first R-rated movie, our weekends in Georgetown, to the days when I was too sick to go to school, and then I got to spend the day with you instead. Those days always ended up in McDonald's cheeseburger, which is kind of ironic and always makes me smile. But my favorite memory of all is all of the time together baking. I used to take time off from school or work or just rearrange my schedule to be able to make challah or pretzel or strudel or onion cheese roll or so much more with you. One day, Jenny even let me borrow the minivan, and I took all of the great-grandchildren over, and we all got to spend the day baking with me. To this day, every time I make challah, every time I feel the dough, every time I watch Sophia or Peyton braid, I remember our time together. Ruby, you taught me so much over the years. You taught me to be warm and welcoming. You taught me to be kind and thoughtful. You taught me the importance of taking risks and trying new things. You also taught me that it's important to laugh and be silly and not take anything too seriously, like the time you went down the giant slide. With you in my corner, you taught me, and I knew I could do anything. Saying goodbye is never easy, and although I was lucky enough to have 48 years with you, it was time for you to join Papa. You left us surrounded by love and in our arms. Now it's Papa's turn, and his arms are wide open, waiting for you. The last few days, we've had some amazing conversations, sometimes without even talking. It was such a gift to be able to see you again, to be able to be with you again, and hold your hands again. As hard as those visits were, they were a gift that I will remember forever. On your 90th birthday, you told me you needed to know that I was going to be okay, because you were ready when the time came. This week I told you that I would be okay. But the truth is, although I will be okay, I will miss you forever. I'm so lucky that you are my Boo Boo. I love you, Boo Boo, the moon and back. I'm forever after that.
Ilamalo, Esa Inai, Elder Marim, Ain Yabo, Esri. Esri Me'im Adonai Ose Shemayim Ba'aretz. Al Yitin Lamod Raglecha El Yanim Shomecha. Hinei Lo Yanum Lo Yishan Shomer Yisrael. Adonai Shomecha, Adonai Tzilcha Ayad Yaminecha. Yomam HaShemesh Lo Yakeka Ve'yorech Balayla. Adonai Yishmorcha Mikol Ra, Yishmor Et Nafshecha. Adonai Yishmor Tzedcha U'Velecha Me'etav Yad Olam. I turn my eyes to the mountains, from where will my help come? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. Adonai will not let your foot give way, your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your protection, a guardian at your right hand. By day the sun will not strike you, nor the moon by night. Adonai will guard you from all harm and guard your life. Adonai guards your going and coming now and forevermore. those in the grave, please do remember that you're still social distancing. So there are seniors here. It's still dangerous, but be very careful. Come social distance and you can put some earth in the grave.
you like one of these?
Everybody, just like to bring your attention back. We're going to do a mourner's cottage with the family. Then I'll have to go into the memorial prayer.
שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, גזור הרקיע מזהירים. את נשמת דבורה פרע בת שמואל ופרידה שלחה לעולמה בגן עדן מנוחתה עלה ברחמים הסיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר אמן.
Amalei Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence to among the holy and the pure, the soul of Dorothea Flax, who has gone to her eternal hope. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, again, everybody, this is counterintuitive. It's not what we feel like doing. We'd like to tarry here and to wish condolences to the family. But we'll do that on the Shiva, on Zoom this afternoon. You can find that link on the headenver.org website or on the Feldman's website. So for now, please do return to your cars and we'll come back together on Zoom this afternoon. This evening. So.
Thank you everyone for your virtual attendance. Be well.